I can go ahead and get started. If the folks would like me to go ahead and do that, I will do that now. All right. Thanks, Tom. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here at the CS New York Summit. My name is Maureen Stewart, and I just want to share with you a little bit about my background before we get started on this presentation. When I was invited to present with CS New York, I thought this is fantastic because my upbringing is actually in Western New York, Alden, New York. So I'm not sure if anyone in the room here is from Western New York or the Buffalo region or Alden, New York, but that's my hometown, and really just amazing fond memories of that region. More recently, I am currently a program director and assistant professor at Northern Vermont University in Vermont. And Alden High School, yay. Okay, and I am working with rising school counselors. I have 26 years of experience as a school counselor in both Vermont and in Colorado. And my passions obviously lie with school counseling, with computer science, and then my involvement with NCWIT, National Center for Women in Information Technology, began in 2016, where I started out as a Counselors for Computing consultant to share the great message of how to broaden participation, which you all are going to hear about during this next hour. So what I'd love to have you start out doing, we all know about Bitmoji and Bitmoji classrooms. We love it also at C4C and NCWIT. I'm going to tell you more about our organization in a minute. But if you could get your phone out, hopefully you have a smartphone or access the link. I have Nikki Sayre on this call with me. Also, Nikki, thank you so much for adding links to the chat for people to access. We want to hear where you're from, where you're located. I know someone from Alden. So just take a quick minute just to give us some information about yourself while we're moving forward here. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about NCWIT, NCWIT. NCWIT is a nonprofit organization that started in 2004. And as I mentioned before, I have been involved with NCWIT since the inception of C4C, Counselors for Computing, since 2016. And NCWIT obviously is a nonprofit community of over 1,400 universities and companies and nonprofits, all with the aim to increase girls' and women's meaningful participation in computing. And so what we like to do with NCWIT is we like to equip those change leaders with resources for taking action in recruiting and retaining and advancing women across the entire ecosystem of K-12 through career. So, and thank you, Nikki, for adding. I'd love to hear where people are from. So feel free just to add to the chat also where you're from. Where's your hometown? Is anyone else from Alden besides the high school teacher? Okay. So NCWIT, what we do is we offer professional development programs for school counselors in the United States. And we're the only ones that do that focus solely and entirely on computing and inclusion. We love to bring people together to develop our own professional learning so that we in turn, as school counselors, educators, advisors, can have those resources and knowledge to help our students access computing careers. Oh, Hyde Park, New York. Okay, thank you. David, that's fantastic. Okay, all right, I'm going to start out with showing you this quick video. And you may have seen it, but it's a great refresher. So it is a great way to test the sound as well. So let me go ahead and press play, and hopefully this works.
For a long time, we've shown students how to use different technologies. We haven't shown them what goes on behind the scenes, the problem solving, the critical thinking, the programming even.
And right now in our nation, there is no clear definition of what is computer science, let alone what K-12 computer science is. The K-12 computer science framework is set up to answer that question.
The computer science framework, it identifies concepts and practices. you have a concept where it's something that a kid should know or understand, and then you have to practice what their action is going to be around that. You put them together, and they can help us create some really outstanding experiences for kids with computing.
Students learn best when the concepts or the knowledge that we hope they acquire is accompanied by hands-on activity, group work, collaboration with their peers, and communication with each other.
So this isn't just about teaching coding language. This is really about critical thinking skills that all of our kids need.
Students are walking away from this with more than a set of technical skills, but also some perspective or some questions on what computing is like as a discipline and how it might be affecting their lives.
That's cool.
And we want to make sure that students of color and that women and students who may have special needs are not left out when we're talking about computer science.
We have to be able to train a diverse set of teachers, and then we have to open up computer science topics to make them as relevant to every student, regardless of their race, culture, gender, ethnicity, you name it.
Education's hard work. And the K-12 CS education framework has brought together a group of writers and advisors and leaders who not only have experience with computing and computer science, but with education.
The important part of a framework is for the community to say, this is the knowledge that everyone ought to have. It's up to the states, the districts to figure out how do we structure that? Where does it go into the curriculum? What should teachers actually be doing?
And so by having that foundation, we can then develop standards which will guide instructional resources and professional learning experiences, and which will eventually impact policies at the state level.
Because finally we are codifying for states and for policymakers and curriculum writers the values that make computer science exciting, engaging, and a literacy for the 21st century.
Okay, great. So as I mentioned, whoops.
For a long time,
Hang in there. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm now program director and assistant professor up in a very rural part of Vermont. And, you know, when we talk about diversity in areas such as Vermont, you know, how do we define diversity? And it's very different in different parts of our country. So what I wanted to do is kind of highlight with all of you our focus for today. And my hope is that by the end of today, that, you know, we all consider thinking about a better understanding of what computer science is. We are able to think about how we apply CS to all occupations, something that we call CS plus X, that X is that other, that we as school counselors, educators, teachers become empowered to integrate CS into our school counseling practice. Thinking about the graduate students I work with in Vermont, you know, I recently taught them how to create a QR code. They were really nervous about creating a QR code. I was nervous about when I first started creating a QR code. And I know that's not computer science, but it's again, becoming empowered to integrate different tools in CS in our everyday practice. I hope that you can learn and a little bit more about certain, you know, job trends that we always consider to think about diversity in CS, and start thinking about our next steps. What's my action plan that I can work on as a school counselor? So, student walks into the classroom. It's during registration time. You're starting to think about signing students up for classes. A student walks into your office and asks, what is computer science? Add to the chat. What are you going to say to them? What is computer science? How do we tell them? What do we say? I see Nikki, thank you. Using technology to solve problems. Problem solving. Yeah. How to solve problems. I sat in on a session earlier with this organization. We're going to talk a little bit about apps and how apps can help us solve problems. Creativity with computers. Yes, that is something we need to emphasize with our students, that they can be creative. It is a broad creative field. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, so again, a short video. I'm going to play this and let's take a watch and listen.
Computer science is the art of teaching a computer what to do. I'll start with something similar. Like a screwdriver is a tool that is made to kind of turn screws, and on its own, it's useless. You have to take it in your hand and kind of turn it to make something happen.
A computer actually learns a set of instructions and actually transform that into a way of showing a movie or playing an audio file or delivering Facebook. And that whole study of how the computer thinks is computer science.
It's code, and so code is a bunch of symbols and letters, but it's really more like a language.
I got here from Puerto Rico and I didn't know English, so I had to spend a lot of time trying to perfect my English. Programmers do the same thing. They learn new languages to do new things. They are inputting this language and these instructions into the computer so the computer can do what they want them to do.
Growing up, I was one of the very few people who had access to a computer around me. And I remember being bored one day and I picked up this book that was near the computer that said basic programming. And they had this really simple getting started, a hello world program that you could write in BASIC. And I remember writing it and recognizing that, wait, hold on, I just put this thing in and taught this computer how to do that, and it came back out. And I had my brother come in and use it. And he's like, oh man, you made the computer say hello? It's like, yeah, I did. Isn't that cool?
In our everyday lives, you speak language and you use that to communicate and instruct when you're around people. Similarly, a programming language is exactly the same thing. It's just a language that you would use to talk to the computer.
And think about the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning. Let's say it's an alarm clock. There are instructions that somebody put into that alarm clock to teach it how to tell time, how to respond to you hitting the snooze button. You're walking out the house and you jump in your car and you start it. There are lots of computers in there figuring out how to turn the engine the very first time, how much gas to put in. This set of instructions that people have put into all these little devices you've used throughout your day just made your day that much easier to get through.
You want directions or you're dialing a phone number, you're actually interacting with a computer to solve the problem at hand. That's computer science and programming right there, every day, in your hand.
Programming and computer science is one of the best ways to have impact in the world. There is no other career, no other field where you can touch so many people's lives with just a simple software or a simple app. And it's specifically also important for diverse communities to be involved because of the fact that computers are everywhere, programming is everywhere, and we want an equal representation when we are building programs.
We need people who have a broad range of perspectives to find different solutions.
Creating products for the people, you need to be the people. And if we hope to have products out there that really serve our needs, we need to be involved. Programming, learning computer science, and being part of the creation process of this new wave of innovation.
Well, I know maybe possibly some of you have seen this type of video before, maybe access. Actually, add to the chat if you've accessed any of these videos on code.org. I know that they are great resources just to share with our students and our teachers and our parents when we're trying to educate and understand. Oh, good. Thank you, David, for utilizing that. So, we talk about what is computer science is posing a problem. Oh, good. I'm so glad people are using these. CS, posing a problem in such a way that a computer can help us solve it. And, communication, solving problems, design, imagine, share, store, retrieve, and manipulate and secure information. Now we bold out the word secure on this slide. I'm wondering if anyone has an idea of why we are emphasizing secure information at this point. Any takers? How are we using computers why is this important that we solve problems in such a way to secure information? Okay. Well, cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing career fields in computer science, and obviously securing our private information, understanding how to incorporate that in our work. With C4C and NCWIT, we utilize a lot of tools such as, maybe some of you have utilized this yourself, the Enigma machine using a Pringles can and teaching students how to encode and decode. Cybersecurity is a fast growing field and a much needed field to make sure we're informing our students on how to protect themselves. Okay, this is my favorite question. What is your favorite app? Go ahead and add to the chat. What your favorite, looking at your phone, what's your favorite app that's on your phone or that you use? I know, oh, Nikki, you use the Hopper app. Oh, that's the way to find great deals on flights. I know for me, I love the app that's called Scrabble Go because it allows me to connect with a friend who lives in a different state and we play Scrabble together. We've been doing that for years. Now, Steam, I don't know Steam as an app. I guess I'd like a quick description. YouTube Junkie, Waze, I know that navigation piece when you're driving somewhere. Wordle, yeah, Bridget, I remember reading about an article of a woman who played Wordle with their children, and for whatever reason, she wasn't sharing her results, each day. Did anyone else hear that story where the family was concerned because she didn't share the Wordle score, and she was in a situation where she needed some help, and so someone went to the house to visit her and basically save her from a really difficult situation. So Wordle is, these apps can also help us stay connected with people. Duo, okay. Tell me what is Duo. Tell me what Duo is, Lisa. Authentication. That's right. I knew that. I have that as well. Great. So we have a lot of, apps that we use. And I think about when I work with my students, I know when I pose the phrase computer science, for many of them, they're just intimidated with the title of the field or the course. So this opportunity is to break down those barriers on, yes, we can consider, we all know this in the room, we're here today to learn more about it, but thinking about using an exercise like this with your students, what is their favorite app? Why do they like it? How often do they use it? How does it help them? What problems does it help them solve? For me with Scrabble Go, the problem is just, I want to stay socially connected with my friend who lives out of state. So next is another quick video that I'm going to show you another that you can show to your students. Let's take a quick look at this. Computer science is changing everything.
I think 19th century was about the Industrial Revolution, about electricity, about disrupting the agricultural society and making it more advanced. The 20th century was about physics and engineering to do more things easier in our everyday life, from refrigerators to washing machines. How convenient. And the 21st century is definitely the digital age. It's the internet.
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball, or build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
The lettuce bot is a robot that can sense its environment. Every single hour, this lettuce bot is seeing 1.5 million plants, and it's taking individual action on those plants. We enable lettuce growers to have higher yields in their field by helping make it cheaper, by helping produce food in a more sustainable way. And that wasn't previously possible without computer science and technology.
I have a really fun job where we build Polyvore, which kind of combines all my favorite things, so programming as well as fashion and art and design and shopping. Half the products you use these days are software products that you play with on your phone. And so if you want to build something cool, you need to know programming, right? And there's so many things that you can do with computer science. So if you just work backwards from the cool thing that you want to build and figure out what that is, a lot of times computer programming is part of that, right? So you should learn the skill.
It's really exciting right now. The technology that we're developing right now is going to be used by your doctor in the next decade. when you come into the office and you're sick, and the doctor is going to be like, all right, spit in this cup. And I will put it into this magic machine, which is a sequencer. And in an hour, I can tell you what you have or what's wrong with you. So if we're looking for a new virus, for example, we'll download a database of all the viruses that are known. And we'll search for, our sequence of interest against a whole database of all viruses. So you still need somebody to analyze the data. The computer is not smart enough yet.
Our software helps people save energy and thereby reduce their carbon emissions. To date, we've saved over 8 terawatt hours, which is the equivalent of about 1.1 million cars on the road.
When you're forecasting the wind, there's so many different parameters that go into it. It would be impossible for a human to sit down and do all those calculations. We need a computer model in order to forecast it.
I write software which scans images, looking for bad images that we know are illegal. I work very closely with organizations like the National Center for Missing Children. I know that the work that we've done has impacted the life of people. And I feel very strongly about it because there's a lot of social problems right now that could really leverage the use of technology. It's a lot about empowering the people who are there helping the world by giving them the tools to be able to do better. That's something that we can do right now, and the tools available are huge.
The merging of art and technology is getting more and more significant now because computers and software are such an integral part of our lives day to day. People are realizing that it can be quite creative to take this medium of computers and create incredible works of art.
In Finding Nemo, when Crush and Squirt and all the friends are flying through the East Australian Current, you're seeing images of water flowing by, you're seeing the colors on the back of the turtle, you're seeing the sides of the fish. All of those things are generated through math and computer programs that we write, that we then give to the artists, and they take that to create that final image and tweak it and make it look beautiful and look fun.
The crux of it is really about invention. It's about looking at the world and being dissatisfied with things and questioning everything.
I always felt like if I didn't learn how to program, it would be like not learning how to read. The future would just be closed to me.
If you're in the coding profession, there's so many things that you can do, and you can pretty much pick and choose the course you want to be in.
I think that you can start something in your college dorm room, and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
Really, it's about the chance to reinvent things and then see it out there in the world and see people using it and having fun or having a better life because of something that wasn't there before that you put in the world.
Okay, so tell me, add to the chat. I'm interested to know what people's opinions are of this. Which of these career fields, what do you think would surprise or intrigue our kiddos, our students? Which of these career fields? Just add to the chat the categories that you think surprises or intrigues our students the most. The farming robot. Yeah. So thank you, Rebecca. You're right. I think about what problems do we want to solve in our communities? What is needed in our communities? The diversity in general. Yeah. Thank you, David. And then what about with adults? What do you think, which of these careers would appeal to me the most, I know, or to all of us? What did we learn from, this video that maybe other adults wouldn't necessarily consider? And I think the medicine piece always, I think we've, in this day and age where with the pandemic and COVID, we've been tracking a lot of information and data on how to address issues in medicine. I think the light up sneakers and things doesn't surprise our children because they grew up with that, but it is but it is something that maybe surprises adults. Does Maureen want to be an NBA All-Star? Yeah, I think that's a little bit past my stage of life, but never say never, right, David? Okay, so thanks for that. Perception is really important. We know this as educators and counselors, that technology affects every field. And as we look around and work with our students, helping our students identify areas that they can consider. Again, what problems do we want to solve? And getting back to the point, David, that, working with students who are in sports, think about those, finding their interests and how can they help their team improve, or what data can they input into an app or a program to help maximize results as an athlete or as a team. There's a lot of ways to go with this. And I think students really embrace that creativity as well. So now I want to talk about why school counselors. Many of you in the room, I believe, are school counselors and educators. Number one, as a school counselor, I guess I'd like to think about, for those of you in your building, regardless of your position, who are your allies in your school? Who are your folks you go to? Even if you're not a school counselor, if you're a teacher, administrator, who are the people in your building that are your allies in this work? The librarian is a big one. Yep. I think that collaboration, anytime we can partner up with another staff member in the building, always makes a difference. Frankly, the front office, our counseling secretary, was tremendous because she had a pulse on what the students were asking about and asking for information on, sometimes even before they got to the counselor. So this is, our work as educators it's a lot more fun when we collaborate with others, but it also helps us develop more creative solutions to the problems we have in our school. So for those of you who are school counselors, or those of you who are not, obviously my passion's in school counseling. This program is designed for school counselors. We present this session across the country for school counselors and educators to not only help inform school counselors, but also to broaden school counselors' participation in computing as well. So why are school counselors critical allies? Well, we have sort of a pulse on a lot of different things that are happening. On the left side of the screen, you'll see that, how we work with all those different stakeholders. We work directly, individually with students, of course, with families, with teachers, administration, with those community members, of course, school board, military liaison, post-secondary opportunities, career tech opportunities. It goes on and on. And we all know school counselors are uniquely positioned to work individually with students, also to work with groups of students, classroom participations, and also we know how to access and understand those barriers to our systems. We know how to gather the data on how many students are in a particular class, or what barriers are there to the master schedule that might prevent a student from enrolling in the class. So this is why C4C, Counselors for Computing, is an integral program to NCWIT to help, again, broaden that participation. And the reason C4C started back in the mid-2000s, early 2000s, was because sadly, we learned that counselors themselves were those barriers. Now, no school counselor would ever want to feel as if they were a barrier to any student's access to information. But the reason why school counselors were barriers is because they just didn't know. I teach graduate students, but this is part of the work, is increasing their information on career opportunities. So C4C started to help eliminate the barrier of a school counselor, because we want to make sure school counselors had those resources to help inform. Okay, so we know, you know this already, but just to remind ourselves, what influences a girl's or any student's decision to pursue CS? But girls in particular, our focus is with underrepresented populations and thinking about how we can encourage. Number one is key. encourage, invite your girls, your female students to consider a course, understanding the perceptions of what is a career in computer science. What does that look like? Thinking about themselves, self-perception. Do I enjoy math and problem solving? Will I be good at it? That growth mindset is important. And then, are those computer science classes available? Are there barriers to when they're available? Are there conflicting courses along the way? And thank you, David. Barriers does sound harsh, but we've broken down those barriers with C4C. So that's our mission, and we're going to continue that work. So for those of you who are school counselors, you know about ASCA, the ethical standards. And this is something I really lean heavily on when I work with my students, when I work with other school counselors across the country. We are advocates, leaders, collaborators, and consultants who create systemic change by providing equitable access. We know that all students have the belief and the ability to learn by advocating for an education system that provides optimal learning environments for all students, regardless of their zip code, regardless of the name of the street they live on, regardless of their family, regardless of our bias, that we have to always keep our own biases in check. School counselors are those social justice advocates to support students from all backgrounds and circumstances. So that's another piece that we always try to emphasize with C4C. Again, sadly, boys receive more encouragement than girls from teachers, from parents, and from media. And looking at those images out there, it's important to remember that we need to change that perception with our female students. So we love this question with C4C, and I pose this question out with my graduate students all the time when we're working with students on, what do they want to be when they grow up? Instead of asking that question, ask them, what problems do they want to solve? It helps us get to their interests, to then make that connection with computer science and the computer science plus X. So that just changes that conversation. What problems do they want to solve? It could be current, everyday problems. It could be, I saw in the previous session, teenagers when they get their license, and if they happen to get pulled over by a police officer, they want to know what to do or how to respond to that. So that's what the apps can provide. So thinking about how can technology help our students solve those problems? Okay. I'd like us to think about this question now. What is a skill that you teach students in your office or your classroom? What is a skill we hope to teach or we strive to teach our students when they come into our office? So go ahead and add to the chat any of the skills you would like to incorporate in your work as a teacher, as a counselor, as an administrator. Okay. Well, counselors are, and I'm looking at the chat, how to flex their struggle muscle. I love that. Growth mindset, self-confidence, advocacy. Thank you. So thinking about computational thinking, again, breaking down the barriers for school counselors. School counselors do this every minute of every day. Teachers do as well. Educators do as well. We are always using computational thinking in our everyday work. We are always working with our students to help decomposition, break down the problem to smaller pieces, helping them develop their schedule for writing out a report. Pattern recognition. If we're seeing some patterns with our students on different trends of when they might come into our office or challenges that they're facing. Abstraction. Look at what's important, get rid of or push aside the extras, the unnecessary details. Algorithmic design, those step-by-step instructions, writing down a recipe, getting directions, following directions, and then debugging that reflection. thinking about what went well and what needs to be revisited. With my graduate students, often every class, I always end with what we call a glows and a grow. What glows? What are we proud of? What's a grow? What do we need to improve upon? What areas do we want more exploration? So again, for those school counselors out there, we know ASCA has our mindsets and behaviors, and thinking about how computational thinking connects with the ASCA's mindsets and behaviors. You're doing this every minute of every day when you're developing lesson plans, when you're working with your students. And I think the 6 mindsets are all so critical in the work that we do. Belief in oneself, developing that self-confidence to succeed, that sense of belonging in a school community, understanding all those post-secondary options, education and careers, using their abilities to their fullest, and then obviously a positive attitude toward working and learning. So again, what we do with C4C and NCWIT is we work very closely with the ASCA model in helping inform our counselors, our educators, that our work is important, that aligns not only with the social emotional, but also with that academic and the career that incorporates all these mindsets and behaviors with computational thinking. Okay, and again, highlighting again those mindsets and behaviors that I already read through, and you have access to this as all of you already do. Wanted to just highlight these pieces here for you. So every 21st century student should have that chance to learn about algorithms and how to make an app and how the internet works, just as we want them to learn about everything from photosynthesis or electricity or the digestive system. So I'd like to hear right now, what are the most popular career trends out there? What are your students interested in? Just go ahead and add to the chat. What's the vibe out there? What are they wanting to look into? I see video game designers. Nice. Biochemical engineering. Oh, tell me more, Karen. I'd like to hear what problems they're hoping to solve, or if you were to pose that question to your students who want the biochemical engineering, I'm interested to hear what problems they hope to solve with that. What other careers are out there that students want? Is the crime science still a thing out there that they're wanting to get into? I know that CSI was a big deal for a while. Anything medical, yep, you're right, David. The pandemic has definitely got us all thinking about how we can improve our access. Oh, Karen, that makes sense. AP Calc, yep. Okay, so keep thinking about how we can make those connections, what we call CS plus X, which I'm going to show you a little bit in a minute of how to help you do that. Now, some schools, some states, some districts count computer science as a graduation requirement. What I wanted to take a look at specifically, and this is all from code.org, but what's happening in New York, and you may already know this, but it's just good to highlight again. In New York, recent data, 30,000 open computing jobs, and only 50% of high schools teach a CS class. So does that surprise anyone? Tell me what's happening in the chat. Go ahead and let us know what's happening in your school, your district, or say your high school. Is computer science a requirement for graduation? Is it what computer science classes are offered or not? Oh, great. You have 26 students in AP Computer Science Principles. I love that class as an intro type class to the AP Computer Science A. Good. Thanks for adding those that information to the chat, because it can range from, I imagine, region, location of where you're located in New York as well. So what we know as educators and school counselors is what's trending with the World Economic Forum, what they're finding, of course, analytic thinking, innovation, big deal now in schools and in colleges, entrepreneurial innovation, STEM programs, active learning, project-based learning, obviously creativity, originality, technology, critical thinking, all these things. Emotional intelligence, really important. Got to keep that SEL piece, strong in our work with our students. Problem solving, systems analysis, and evaluation. So why is this important? There are jobs in every industry in computing, in every state, and they're projected to continue to grow at twice the rate of all other jobs. So the problem, some people may think it's a STEM problem, but meaning science, technology, engineering, and math. I always like the STEAM, adding that as an aspect with the arts because I think it's really important. But really, the STEM problems in computer science, when we look at this graph, this speaks to why this is a problem. 67% of all new jobs in the STEM field are in computing, but 11% of STEM bachelor's degrees are in computer science. So we're finding that gap and that barrier. This chart is one of my favorites to look at this data. So let's dig deeper into looking at what this chart tells us. So we have a lot of information across the bottom here, the engineering as a sort of a general degree program, the biomedical and biological sciences as a general degree program, computer and information sciences as that's highlighted, math and statistics, physical sciences, and then far to the right, social sciences. Okay, add to the chat, or if you had earned a bachelor's degree in the social science category, and I would like to add my name to the chat. My BA was in psychology, so I was in that category of the social sciences, way off to the right. And if I were to look at what was happening then, yeah, women made up and men made up what, a little 80,000 degrees in the social sciences. Yep, thanks, Nikki. You and I were both social science majors. But then if we shift to the middle of this chart, obviously take a look at computer science. So if we dig deeper here, if we look at women who are earning a bachelor's degree in computer science, less than 25,000. Men were approaching 70,000, 75,000 of men earning that bachelor's degree. Well, take a look at that purple arrow. That tells us the job growth. So not only is the job growth approaching 125,000, look at the bubble at the top, 362,000 is actually off the chart. There are so many more jobs available right now out there for those who even have their bachelor's degree in computer science. So that's that gap, not only by gender that we need to always continue to address, but just overall. Okay, and why is this important? Well, diversity is important. You know, when we have a diverse pool, we have more creative solutions to problems. We provide more, access and opportunities for all. The percentage of computing occupations held by women, broken down, 27% overall by women, 15 white women, 7 Asian, 3 Black African American, 2 Latino Hispanic women. So this is an area that we also need to consider growing, particularly when we look at the projection of the Latino population as being closer to 35% nationwide. There are huge gaps. This is not a diverse pool as much as we'd like to see happen, what represents our communities. Okay, so I did already ask the question of what are you offering in computer science? I'd love to have people add to the chat. And it looks like some have already done that, but what's happening with the gender disparity? Is there one? And what are some of the reasons why there may be a gender disparity in some of your CS classes? So just pause and think about that for a minute. What is happening in your CS classes and why the disparity? Girls not encouraged. Oh, I know. Yep, role models are important. Girls are intimidated. Oh, excellent. You have more female students in your CS course than some of your tech courses. I'd like to know why. I'd love to dig deeper on your data, Rebecca, on like what's happening with those courses, how maybe they're advertised. Yep. As David said, girls feel out of place. You know, as counselors and educators, we are also marketers. We have to promote and market our programs and make them enticing for all of our programs, for our students to take, and thinking about what does the course catalog look like? What is the description? Do the students understand the description? Do they really know what it is? I'm reading through the chat as fast as I can, and I love these ideas and comments here. And I love that your computer science teachers are female, and I think that can be sometimes a barrier, just getting some CS teachers in the building as well. One school in New Jersey, and maybe some of you are doing this in your schools, is they have created a course catalog that's a video course catalog where the students can get a link to not only reading what the course description is, but also clicking on a QR code or something, and they actually can see what's happening in that class. And to extend that, because we all know our plates are already full, the students were the ones that would create the video to highlight a particular course. So what better way of incorporating the students in your work with broadening participation, but have them actually help you in your work. So I don't know if anyone's using video cataloging with any of their courses, and what kind of success are they having with that? It's just some thoughts. Feel free to add to the chat at any point on that video cataloging idea. So again, the value of why is important for diversity in computing. It enhances innovation, expands the qualified employee pool, it improves the bottom line, and it promotes equity overall. This is a very short video. I love this. I want to show it to all of you. Let's take a quick look.
Diversity isn't just about the things you can see, it's about the things that make us different and make us unique and make us special.
There's a true business case for having a diverse workforce.
What I think is really interesting is when we think about all the things that haven't been created because the creators weren't diverse.
When we do have true diversity in IT, things will be different for the end users of our technologies.
It just means equity in opportunity, equity in the ability for young women to realize their potential.
If we meet each other as human beings, willing to be vulnerable and yet willing to roll up our sleeves and make a difference, we can make a difference.
Okay, and I'm just watching my clock, and I'm worried our time is coming to an end. I have a few more really important resources for you to help you in your work. So let me take a look, and let's have you. So I shared with you, I don't know if any of you are using QR codes in your work. I just think they're a great option to access information. So hopefully, go ahead and hold your phone up to the QR code, or Nikki is adding to the chat, an option where you can dig deeper and go down an amazing rabbit hole of resources that are available to you. I want you to think about a webinar series we have that's called Advising for Future Ready Careers. You can log in at any time. Some of our favorites, there's a lot of great resources. One recently was based out of Michigan, CS plus Barbering, Leveraging Social and Cultural Capital, incorporating a CTE program of barbering with computer science, where the computers were making the creative designs of barbering and hair designs in the student's head. And it was just a great way to connect CTE programs with barbering, with computer science. So we want you to know about that as one possible resource. And then we also, as you go through the link, you can click on a number of different materials that you can download, have as a resource for yourself. This one, Counselor Talking Points. What do I say to a student when they come into my office and they want to pursue computer science? Again, lots of opportunity. They're free for you just to take advantage of, download, have handy as a slide deck as if you're going into classrooms and you want to talk to students about how to make decisions about courses and careers. These are free resources for you. And yes, the counselor, yeah, Nikki, thank you. The counselor talking point is a great resource. And then different pathways and so on. So let me go ahead and show you one more here. Let me go back to the next slide. So again, use that QR code, use the link, bookmark it, save it. It's all there for you to use for free. Some of you, you have hopefully the slide deck saved, but I invite you to listen to this Modern Figures podcast. Particularly, there's a section that we love. It's playing minute 30 through 38 to hear why representation matters in the field. So this is an opportunity where you can, again, get a notification of upcoming future-ready careers. I heard earlier in the chat, we have this. The space race is here we are again. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity to look at, again, how can we get students excited and interested in any of the career fields. The Future Ready Careers is designed to be that CS plus X, connecting computer science to any other field. So this is a nice closing slide we use a lot, just that a student shared about their school counselor, and that the school counselor recognized that they were taking a lot of different classes, using problem-solving skills, a lot of art classes. And so when the counselor saw how creative that student was, that counselor encouraged the student to take a computer science class. So obviously all of you in the room, you're already doing that. I appreciate your great work. We want to make sure you continue to share this work with your colleagues, with your allies in the building, with the front office staff. Talk to them about what you've learned today. Print off some of the documents. Let us know if you'd ever like us to, connect and visit with you. We want to hear what's happening in your schools. So just in closing, we want to thank you for already the great work that you're doing, and please keep us posted on other opportunities and programs that you're running in your school so we can find out all that great work that you're already doing. At the end of this, you're going to receive a survey link just to let us know how this went today and any other resources you might want to have in the future. So please stay connected. You're part of the C4C community now just by being on this session with Nikki and myself. So we are grateful that you're here. And I am going to,
Hi, everyone.
I'm going to close with this. This is NCWIT. I love this motto, the idea you don't have is just that voice you haven't heard yet. So I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I hope you can find some time to do some R&R this weekend. And if the woman from Alden is still in the room, I'm wondering if Nealon's Dairy is still a thing in Alden. But I'm not sure if the Alden teacher is still in the room. And if so, let me know if Nealon's Dairy is still in Alden. Anyway, take care. Have a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you soon.